Good evening. I'd like to call the June 9th, 2020 regular City Council meeting to order. I'd like to point out that this meeting is being hosted through live stream on the city's website and by teleconference for public comment. City staff is at an off-site location participating through video conference. If you're joining through teleconference, please remember to mute your phone to prevent noise interference until you provide your public comment. Due to the structure of this meeting, I'd like to remind council to have their microphones turned on and positioned so that the audience can hear. Deputy City Clerk, may I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Meyer?
Here.
Councilmember Percival?
Here.
Councilmember Wright?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Krupa?
Here.
Mayor Brown?
Here.
Thank you.
And in the absence of their interfaith council not being in attendance today, the invocation will be led by Councilmember Percival, followed by Councilmember Wright, leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Thank you. Heavenly Father, we come to you as we get through this council meeting and we talk about the city's business to take care of our community, Lord. We ask that you give us the insight, the open minds, to be able to listen to our community, to be able to make the hard decisions. And we ask this in your name, Jesus. Amen.
Please join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Both. And now we'll refer to our city attorney for a report on closed session. Tom, are you with us?
Yes, thank you. I am. Thank you. The City Council met in closed session with respect to the one item on the closed session agenda, and there is no reportable action, and that concludes the report.
Thank you very much, Tom. And relative to that, I would like to point out that as a discussion in the closed session, there was an urgency item that dealt with that topic that came up and came to our attention that happened after the publishing of the regular agenda. So I'd like to request that we add that item for consideration.
So moved. Second.
Okay. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Meyer?
Yes.
Councilmember Percival?
Yes.
Councilmember Wright?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Krupa?
Yes.
Mayor Brown?
Yes. And that passes unanimously, so we'll bring that up. You want to do that right now?
Yep. You tell the people what it's about and add it somewhere.
Well,
Yes, so the item is essentially a proposal from HFFA, a side letter to defer their 6% raise. It's due July 1 in exchange for an incentive for individuals to retire. And I can give a staff report once we get to that item when the time comes up, Mayor.
okay. Thank you very much.
Where should we add?
Okay, as a reminder to the public, there is a temporary 2-minute per person time limit for all general public comments on non-public hearing items. All who wish to speak, including council members and staff, need to be recognized by the mayor before speaking. Members of the public shall comply with adopted rules of decorum, Resolution 4545, a copy of which can be requested through the city clerk. You may also fill out a form and submit your comments online at www.hemet.ca.gov/councilchamberlive, and your comments will be read aloud. However, submittal must be done before 2 p.m. the day of the meeting. For those who wish to join by teleconferencing, you can join us by calling 888-585-9008, and when prompted, dial 768-176-038. You'll be asked for your name prior to speaking. A reminder, if you're joining by teleconference, please remember to mute your phone to prevent noise interference until you're called upon to give your comments. And when you're called upon, state your name and the item you're commenting on before speaking. At the conclusion of communications from the public teleconference line will be deactivated. Public will still be able to watch the live stream at hemetca.gov/councilchamberlive. So item, let's see, where are we here? Okay, so item 16A, public comment for items listed on the agenda, consent and discussion items. Do we have any e-comments?
There are no e-comments submitted for consent and discussion items.
Okay. Anyone on teleconference for that?
There are 8 members of the public on the line. I'll go ahead and unmute them if they would like to submit a public comment on this at this time for items on the agenda.
I was trying to get it on TV. Yeah.
Is there someone on the line that would like to provide public comment?
Is there someone on the line now that would like to provide public comment on the teleconference?
Hi, my name is Maya Avery. I submitted an online comment regarding discussion item 9.A.
Have you submitted an item online?
That's correct.
Okay, so if you submitted something as an electronic comment, it will be read aloud by the city clerk.
It already was.
Understood.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Ma'am, your comment was read earlier by the city clerk. Do we have anyone
So
else?
can I comment on the online request that I made, or do I need to wait until they address those?
Well, if you submitted an electronic comment, it was read by the city clerk earlier.
Okay. So in that case, I would like to make some comments in regards to the budget cuts. Is this an appropriate time to make some comments?
No, that's not what we're at right now. We're public comment for items listed on our regular session agenda, not on the work study.
Will I get a chance to talk at this meeting?
On what agenda item?
Discussion item 9.A, the fiscal year 2020-2021 report that was sent out.
So, Mayor, if I could, we started that at 5:40, I believe. We took some public comment there, but I think when we get back to the presentation, I think there are some other people that wanted to speak on that too, so we can go ahead and take that. Mayor and Council, if you're okay with it at that point when we go back to it.
Okay, I apologize. I understood it to be 5 p.m. I logged in at 5. It hadn't started yet, so I understood then that it potentially was at 7 p.m. So I apologize. Go ahead.
Well, that's okay because we're adjusting as we go on our time schedule. We had a closed session at 5 that was scheduled to go till 5:30. That actually went till about 5:40, and that's when we got into the work study, and we recessed the work study so that we could start our regular session at 7. We'll pick that up again after we conclude our regular session. So,
Understood. Thank you.
apologize for that. If you stick with us and you want to make comments, we'll pick that up again at the conclusion of our regular session. Okay? Is there anyone else on the teleconference that wants to provide public comment on regular session item? Okay, I'm presuming that not hearing anybody identify themselves, so we'll move on to item 17. Receive and file.
16B.
16. I'm sorry. 16B. Public comment for items not listed on the agenda but within jurisdictional manner. So this is public comments on items not listed on the agenda but within our jurisdictional. Do you have any electronic comments on those items?
Yes, Mayor. I've received 10 electronic comments. The first one is from Latanya Delafis. Comment is, what is the City of Hemet going to implement to end racism in public, jobs, and schools? How will the City of Hemet Police Department will be educated and trained on police brutality, racism, discrimination, and lynchings? Next comment is from Brian Johnston. I would like to address the council to request additional traffic control presence from the police. At all hours of the day, traffic can be observed running red lights, excessive speeding, and even drag racing, especially late in the night. The amount of vehicles driving recklessly is disturbing and dangerous to both other drivers and pedestrians. The stretch of Sanderson between Stetson and Dominigoni contain one of Hemet's busiest shopping centers, a high school, and a series of large residential neighborhoods, all of which attract many pedestrian and vehicular traffic. Increased traffic control presence will ensure greater safety for all. Next comment is from Gerald Emmons. Mayor Brown, City Council members, in light of the recent death of George Floyd at the hands of 4 Minneapolis police officers, tens of thousands of U.S. citizens across the country and across Canada and Europe have rallied in support of reducing the use of excessive force by police officers. Organizations in the United States have identified 8 can't-wait policies that, when implemented, can decrease police violence by 72%. They are: 1. Ban chokeholds and strangleholds. 2. Require de-escalation. 3. Require warning before shooting. 4. Requires exhausting all alternatives before shooting. 5. Duty of officers to intervene. 6. Ban shooting at moving vehicles. 7. Require use of force continuum. 8. Require comprehensive reporting of use of force. Implementation of these sensible 8 can't-wait policies do not adversely affect current police budgets. I urge you to consider adopting these policies after appropriate deliberation. Thank you. Next comment is from Randolph Arciniga. Comment is, first, I would like to be proud to say that I have deep respect for our country, city, and police department. I am deeply concerned that we as citizens take action for change. I am concerned that we may err by ignoring what happened to George Floyd. There is a saying that we should inspect what we expect. Recently, Riverside Police Chief Larry Gonzalez may mirror the similar view here in Hemet. He tries to bury the event by saying, in effect, that proper training was at fault. I believe that the event was caused by systemic racism and that attempts to minimize and divert the blame. The event occurred because of attitude of some or our law enforcement officers. Relegating the factors that caused Mr. Floyd's death to training, a bad cop, etc. absolves us and distances us from the blame. Without taking some form of corrective action on a local level, we affirm that the treatment of George Floyd and any citizen is inevitable and just. What is needed here is action. The police officer, Derek Chauvin, accused as the most responsible person, has been charged. What should we have learned from this? We could ask ourselves to investigate the signals that Derek Chauvin brewed. It is my understanding that he had 18 complaints. What kinds of standards do we have in place to remove officers from active duty when they have numerous complaints from the company? What were the complaints? Were they abuse, racially, excessive use of authority, etc.? What were his social contract? Did they include violent right-wing organizations? Your duties are clear. Inspect what you expect. If our police chief has not taken any action to parse his department by setting up limits of complaints that require the investigation of specific officers exceeding those guidelines, monitoring of excessive behaviors should lead to eventual determination. Any actions taken by this council and the police department should be publicized so that the citizens of Hemet can be seen as making an attempt to affirm that we do not minimize the event only to discover that we become victims of repeating Minneapolis history. The next comment is anonymous. The comment is help. End of comment. The next comment is from Marie Peterson. Comment is, as a young white woman, I have seen the corruption of police brutality, the blatant racism that is encrypted into the system is evil and old. We are ready for change and reform, to fund the police and use the money to strengthen different associations and needs. Example, school funds, maybe fix Florida Street and make it more sense when you're driving again. Help homeless people by investing in more shelters. More funds for the hospital, since we are in a global pandemic. Spread the wealth where it is needed, and end crime and violence on black people. Changing is coming whether you like it or not. Either comply with what the people are asking or face the rage and hurt from centuries of discrimination. Next comment is from Carrie Davis Metal. I would like to formally request that the City Council require planning staff to renotice the proposed Citrus Point project located at Lake Florida SDR number 20-004. The proposed project is located within a strictly single-story neighborhood, and the notice failed to indicate that two-story homes were proposed, which is a significant fact. Most neighbors are unaware that two-story homes are proposed, and when they were informed by neighbors, not staff, they were deeply troubled by this information. Furthermore, the notice should include a link to the current agenda and provide the link for the project PowerPoint. Additionally, at the meeting on June 2nd, several neighbors were denied access to the meeting because council was conducting a concurrent meeting using the same call-in number. Those neighbors were not notified that the meeting was continued on the June 3rd. The city's website showed this June 16th meeting was canceled. I have made multiple requests to planning staff to renotice this meeting for those reasons, and I was informed by staff that a meeting showing was canceled was due to the testing of a new system. This is not acceptable. Some residents tried to find information regarding the meeting only to see it was canceled. Why would they go back and check the website as they would assume it would be renoticed? Do not punish or deny the residents the opportunity to comment on a project that could impact their property and neighborhood. My request is not unreasonable and appreciate the support of City Council ensuring proposed project transparency with the residents of the existing Orchard community. Thank you. Next comment is from Carol Kendrick. I would like to formally request the City Council require planning staff to renotice site development number 20-004. The proposed project is located and embedded in a strictly single-story neighborhood, and the notice failed to indicate that two-story homes were proposed, which is a significant fact. Most neighbors are unaware of the two-story are proposed, and when they are informed by neighbors, not staff, they are deeply troubled by this information. In addition, the notice did not include a link to the current agenda or provide the link for the PowerPoint project, and only indicates the website to submit a comment and where to view the live stream, which did not occur at the last meeting. Furthermore, at the meeting on June 2nd, several neighbors were denied access to the meeting because council was conducting a concurrent meeting using the same call-in number, and residents were denied from attending the meeting in person due to the curfew. Those neighbors were not notified that the meeting was continued to June 2nd, and on June 3rd, the city's website showed the June 16th meeting was canceled. Staff indicated this was due to the testing of a new system. However, some residents tried to find information on the meeting only to see it was canceled. Why would they go back and check the website as they assumed it would be renoticed? Do not punish or deny residents the opportunity to comment on a project that could impact their property and neighborhood. I am concerned that materials and comments received after the publication of the staff report are supposed to be available for public to inspect. However, with City Hall closure and residents participating via phone, have no way to inspect new materials. I would also like to point out that one resident said they were advised the project was single-story only. Another resident said they heard the project was not moving forward because of the reduction of fire services to the area. Another one saw the word single in the notice and thought that meant single-story. Your staff needs to set the record straight with the residents by renoticing the project with information requested above. The last comment is from David Austin. Good evening, Mayor and council members. I am a 10-year medically retired resident of Hemet. I know this is a complicated issue to control, but over the last 4 weeks, fireworks have become the highlight throughout the city. Geez, it's not even a holiday. Every single evening of the last 4 weeks, it's been a free-for-all. Children, pets, and citizens with PTSD have been terrorized long enough. This misdemeanor law on the fines of possessing fireworks up to 100 pounds is a joke, and the enforcement of the state law is not adequate enough to minimize and somewhat just restore some peace each and every citizen deserves. I don't like getting woken up at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, or even 4 o'clock in the early morning hours. The focal point of this matter is to do something. and that something means to get full results. This is not the first time you've heard this from me, and it won't be the last. Evidence displays this is a real problem in our city, and it's as worse today as ever. So own up, reach out for solutions, and put them in place. I would like to close with a couple of suggested solutions. One, as a neighbor suggested, put police on bicycles to patrol prone areas of high firework activity. 2, adopt an ordinance to increase the fine to $1,000 up to $2,000 for possessing 100 pounds or less of fireworks. This would increase the deterrent factor. Thank you. That was the last of the electronic comments submitted.
Okay, thank you for that. Do we have people on teleconference that want to comment on items that are not on the regular council agenda?
Hi, this is Maya Avery. I sent in an earlier request that was read. I was wondering if this would be an appropriate time to elaborate on my comments.
You wanted to comment on what?
Oh, I sent in a request in regards to the budget, specifically in regards to the police and the fire department cutback.
Okay. If you submitted an electronic comment that was already read previously.
That's correct.
So this session of our regular council agenda is to offer public comment on anything that's not on our regular agenda.
Well, in that case, I'd like to speak on something that's not part of the regular agenda.
Okay.
I'm sorry, could the folks that are on the phone please mute your phones? There's a lot of background noise. So, all of you have just heard quite a lot of comments from the city, and there's been some people wanting to defund the police. There's been people that have been looking for help with things like fireworks at night. I want to point out that the things that are going on in the city right now are only going to get worse. We have an anarchy type of a situation going on. The proposals to reduce the open fire department and the open requisitions for police department are only going to hurt the city further. I just recently read a post that the Hemet Youth Baseball was just vandalized. So I don't know about all of you, but there's several things that keep the kids going in this community, and the Hemet Youth Baseball is one of those things. All of my kids who are involved in the Hemet Youth Baseball, it's a great organization. I have nothing but good things to speak about them. When people go and steal their tools and steal their carts, there's no respect, there's no consideration for the city. And what I wanted to talk about specifically was the layoff. So the 2020-21 budget cutbacks are an obvious necessity during this time of economic hardship. However, elimination of 37 vacant police positions as well as 9 fire department positions will continue to allow the city to further spiral into a deeper financial deficit. As it is, due to loss of jobs related to COVID and now the violent protests, many honest working families will be leaving the area if anarchy is further allowed to spiral out of control. Crime is visibly on the rise, and a reduction of the police not only gives the city the message that the citizen safety is not a high priority, but it will drive those that actually support the city to leave. What this will do is further push this city into an economic collapse and further increase crime. I understand the need for cutbacks. I understand finance. However, I do believe that cutting back in those areas will further aid in the decline of this city.
Okay. Well, thank you for your comments. Your 2 minutes are up. If you want to make a concluding statement.
Thank you for your time. That's all that I wanted to say. I appreciate everybody listening to my comments. Have a great evening.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else on the teleconference line that would like to offer public comment on a non-regular agenda item? If there's no one else on the teleconference line for public comment, City Clerk, do we have speaker slips for people waiting to offer comment on non-agendized item?
Yes, Mayor, there are several here. The first is Luis Herrejon. After Luis will be Tyler Birchall.
Hey man, how you guys doing? Good? I came to here actually, but now that I'm here, I know why I'm here. The Lord put something in my heart, and that is to pray for you. That make the right decisions, whatever you would be guided. And as also part of the pastor's prayer, we've been praying for this valley. We were there Monday, praying at the mall. Thursdays we meet, and so, for our city. This is our city, this is our valley. And so, Father, I just pray right now, God. I pray for our city officials, Lord. I pray that you guide them, Father. Speak to them, Lord. And yes, there's things, there's numbers and finances and all these things, God. But Lord, we've been praying for this valley, God. We've been praying that, Lord, your hand will continue to be upon it, God. And Lord, but I pray right now for every city official right now, God, that, Lord, I know a lot of things are going to happen, people coming against them, and all these things, Father. So protect them also, God, so they can make the proper decisions, Father. And Lord, we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
After Tyler is Anthony Herrejon.
Right there. And Tyler, you have 2 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Tyler Birchall, and I live out in the Valdez area. Since all this has been going on, the riots and whatnot, there's been complete anarchy all over the country, and we really need the police and fire at this moment. The more cutting you do to these departments, the worse it's going to get. It's going to lead to gangs roaming the streets. It's going to lead to complete anarchy, and there's little people can do around here, especially in California, where most people don't have weapons to defend themselves. We need more police action in order to keep the people safe, and defunding the police is not the way to do it. There's fires every day here in town lately because of all the fireworks, and we need more presence here in the valley. Thank you.
Thank you, Tyler.
Hello, everybody. Hi. I've been here before a couple times, and my name is Anthony. I represent Hemet Gatekeepers Security Company, and thank you guys for just having open session for this. First of all, I just want to say, I know a lot of decisions are being considered in regards to the potential crunching of numbers and the real concern about being in an economic recession with COVID, along with the civil unrest that we've seen in the last couple weeks within our city. And one of the things that, that I realize is that, never in time's history have we seen something like this. This is all coming together very quickly, and we have to make decisions. The question is how do we deal with these issues at a local level? And I'm of the belief that our community embraces our police force like none other. And 2 Sundays ago during the protests, we saw solidarity between both the protesters as well as our police force. And Captain Medicos was out there, and he showed support for the protesters. They were thankful for him showing solidarity, and they embraced him, and he embraced them. There are issues with police brutality from a nationwide level. And what's happening in our nation is very sad, but I believe at a local city level that our police perform their job and they do their duties. The word defunding sounds like a knee-jerk reaction to me in regards to our local city. If we look closer at what these cities are asking for, they're actually asking for the abolition of the police department. That's where this is going. Right now, we're in an economic recession, and what we need during this time, or what we will see in this time, is an actual eventual rise of crime. 2 Sundays ago was a testament of how much we need our police force versus how much we don't need our police force. And I could say that I was out there on the street and I saw what happened. If we didn't have our police to back us up, we would have been in some serious trouble. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much. Exactly 2 minutes.
There are 2 other requests to speak over there for item 9A. You want to have them after the end of this regular session?
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so that's it for non-agendized items. All right, moving on to item 17, receive and file. These are normally routine, so may I have a motion to receive and file?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Meyer?
Yes.
Councilmember Percival?
Yes.
Councilmember Wright?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Krupa?
Yes.
Mayor Brown?
Yes. That passes unanimously. Moving on to item 18, the consent calendar. These are items that will be acted upon simultaneously unless requested by an individual council member for separate consideration. Are there members of council that would like to pull any consent calendar items for separate consideration?
Yes. 18F.
18F.
F as in Frank.
That's it.
Yes, that's all I have.
Carla? Nothing?
No, thank you.
Michael? Okay, so I will entertain a motion. Consent calendars items except 18F as in Frank. I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Meyer?
Yes.
Councilmember Percival? Yes. Councilmember Wright?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Krupa?
Yes.
Mayor Brown?
Yes. And that passes unanimously. For separate consideration, 18F is in Frank.
Yes. And my only question on this is that in light of what we're going to talk about in 19B, does that waiver in the Age Discrimination Act of 1967 have to be included in this settlement agreement?
So thank you for that question. The waiver release that's included in the backup includes the elements that we talked about earlier.
Okay. That's all I needed to hear. You okay with that? Okay. I would move approval on that one then, on 18F.
I have a motion to approve. Second. Second by Carly. Roll call vote.
Councilmember Meyer?
Yes.
Councilmember Percival?
Yes.
Councilmember Wright?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Krupa?
Yes.
Mayor Brown?
Yes, and that passes unanimously. Moving on to item 19, action items. We have 19A, our regular council report on COVID-19 and our emergency declaration update.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll make this brief. As I was speaking to Councilmember Percival, I think I've spoken to a couple other council members as well. We're preparing for the gradual reopening of City Hall. So we placed an initial order for the sneeze guards that we received yesterday. And so we tested them out, and we'll be distributing those to departments across the agency. We also placed an order for the dispensers for antibacterial, antiviral fluid to make sure that individuals that come throughout our city departments have the ability to stay clean and wipe that stuff off, whatever things they might have on their hands. And so we should be receiving those any day now. In addition to that, we are purchasing some markers. We've got some delineators that would help make sure that individuals are keeping their distances away from one another. And we'll be obviously limiting the number of people that are within city facilities and probably go to a gradual soft reopening and gradually increase that over the course of time. We've started to bring back some of our operations. I think I mentioned before that community development is all back in City Hall already. And so over the next couple of weeks, we'll start bringing that staff back as well and get them back acclimated to working back at City Hall and other city locations. So again, the items that we talked about, the antibacterial stuff, cleanser, we'll also make sure that that's included here in the council chamber so that anybody that does attend our council meetings has the ability to make sure that their hands are cleaned while they're here. That's the biggest update that I have on my side. We're continuing to update items on the PEG channel, and as you all know, the economy continues to open back up. So that concludes my report, Mayor. Happy to answer any questions if the council has any.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions of this?
I have one quick question on the PEG channel. And I know it's on, what, channel 3 and 38 or something like that for Verizon and Fios. Is there any indication that it will be a channel available on, say, DirecTV and Dish? Because I know a lot of people in the Valley have satellite and not cable.
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that, but I'll follow up with the staff to see if there's anything available for DirecTV users.
Okay, thank you very much.
Carter?
Yeah, I would like to know, I think that we need to discuss opening these meetings up to the public. So whether we need to meet at the library, up on the balcony to have open air, whatever we need to do, this is the citizens' money that we're dealing with right now. This is our tax dollars, and so they should be able to come and be at these meetings. So if we need to change our location, we need to figure out a plan for that, and it needs to happen by next meeting.
I agree with Carly's comments. It goes back to if stores are essential, government is essential. If government's not essential, then why are we here? And so if stores can make it available for people to be in there, hundreds of people at a time, we have plenty of space that we can social distance. So I think that needs to be a priority.
Well, even the county meetings are open. Absolutely. So.
Well, not to mention, the COVID is a very fluid and new information is coming out about it, and we're not paying attention to the professionals, the doctors, the scientists who are actually learning more about COVID, and we're just listening to the politicians who want to tell you what they want to tell you. And so I think it's important that we start, and we should take a stand. Open up.
Well, I have to concur with that too, and I don't mean to put words in our deputy city clerk's mouth, but I think just the sheer awkwardness of dealing with e-comments and telephonic comments and all of that, it does tend to get in the way of us being able to conduct an efficient meeting and hear from the public on items of import to them. So as long as we can come up with some reasonable process that we can start moving forward, I think that would be a good thing to pursue.
So my question is do we still need our emergency order in place? And do we need to vote so that you will do what we ask, or you're going to take the authority as the emergency services director?
So I'm supposed to get the items, the antibacterial, any day now. So what I was talking to Councilmember Percival is that if I can get those installed by the end of this week in terms of this facility, we could set up the spacing so that individuals can come here, and I can just do that on my side to make sure that we can take care of that. I don't think that necessarily requires the rescinding of the emergency order at this point. I can go ahead and implement the items here within this building to make sure that we have the space and the items available so that by our next council meeting, we're having people back in here.
Anything else? Okay, thank you very much for that. Moving on to item 20, City Council and Stafford. Oh, that's right, 19B. Thank you for reminding me. Okay. 19B. So, go ahead, City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. So, we have a proposed side letter that has been brought to the council for discussion. Essentially, public safety groups that includes HPOA, Hemet Police Officers Association, HPMA, Hemet Police Management Association, and Hemet Firefighters Association members are entitled to a 6% increase in salaries this July 1, 2020. As a result of numerous informal discussions with HFFA leadership and their attorney, they have provided a proposal to the council that essentially is a side letter, and the terms of the agreement are as follows. The term holds off the 6% raise that would go into effect July 1, and essentially provides for a 0% increase for July 1 through June 30th, 2020. July 1, 2021, HFFA members are entitled to a 3% increase. Effective the pay period beginning after July 1, 2022, there is a 3% increase provided to HFFA members. There is a stipulation within the side letter that allows HFFA to extend the term to one additional year. If HFFA chooses to exercise that option, the deferral or the last 3% increase gets pegged into the fourth year of the agreement. So essentially, if they choose to exercise that option, in year 1 they see a 0% increase, year 2 they see a 3% increase, year 3 they see a 0% increase, and in year 4 is when they will see the final 3% increase. In providing for that delay in their 6%, the city shall offer a one-time incentive, retirement incentive of $35,000 to one fire captain and one fire engineer. The council has directed that language be included, that the pay of the $35,000 goes into effect effective on their last and final paycheck from the city of Hemet. In addition to that, if any other public safety bargaining group, including HPOA or HPMA, were to receive any sort of increase within the time of this agreement, there is a provision that requires that HFFA members have discussion related to what those potential impacts would be, and requires that they receive like compensation for their members as well. As part of that agreement, the city is requiring that individuals that do take that retirement incentive do sign a waiver to release any and all potential claims related to the Age Discrimination and Employment Act of 1967. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that the council might have.
Chris, just one clarification. I think you may have spoken a little too broadly when you said any other bargaining unit. I think it's very specific to the bargaining unit.
I'm sorry for that. Public safety bargaining groups, including HPOA and HPMA, and potentially the Hemet Fire Management Association group. If any of those groups should receive any sort of additional compensation as stipulated in any other MOU outside of what they currently receive, then HFFA members would be entitled to that as well.
Thank you for that clarification. Any questions or comments from council? Carla?
Can you go over the savings that this will give the city that you shared with us?
Sure, Councilmember, I can do that. So what we have included in this fiscal year's budget, and we will need to refine this, so there will be a caveat when we talk about the fire department budget a little bit later when we revisit the work study. In year 1, which would have been July 1, we anticipated the increase to be about $250,000 of general fund dollars and about $86,000 of Measure U funding, assuming that that increase were to go into effect. So upwards of $360,000 or so for, $350,000 or so for fiscal year 2021. In year 2, based on the increases in CalPERS, based on the increases with respect to the premium pays that go along with that, jumps up to about $265,000 of general fund, $88,000 of Measure U. In year 3, the general fund goes to $275,000, $91,000 in Measure U. In year 4, $283,000 for general fund, $94,000 in Measure U. And then in year 5, $292,000 of general fund dollars and $97,000 of Measure U funding. So for the entire 5-year period, assuming that the increases were to remain in HFFA, that total cost would be about $1.4 million of general fund dollars and approximately $455,000 worth of Measure U dollars. If we look at the option that just breaks up 0% increase for the first year and then 3% increase the year after that and then another 3% the year after that, the first year cost for the city would be the $70,000 of retirement incentive, but no other increase slated for HFFA members. In year 2, that cost would be $131,000 of general fund and $43,000 of Measure U. In year 3, $275,000 of general fund, $91,000 in Measure U. And in year 4, $283,600 of general fund, $94,000 in Measure U. And in year 5, $292,000 with the general fund and $97,000 of Measure U, for a total cost over the same period of $1.1 million of general fund and $326,000 for Measure U. So you can see that just right there, you've already got at least $300,000 of savings by the first option. And the third option, which is the option that HFFA can choose to exercise, which is a 0% increase the first year, 3% increase the second year, 0% the third year, and then 3% in the fourth year, $70,000 for the cost of the retirement incentive, $131,000 for general fund in year 2, $43,000 of Measure U. In year 3, $136,000, $43,000. I'm sorry, $136,000 of general fund, $46,000 of Measure U. In year 4, $283,000 of general fund and $94,000 of Measure U. And in year 5, $292,000 general fund and $97,000 in Measure U. When you factor out that 5-year total, on the general fund side, it's about $914,000, and then for Measure U, it's about $280,000. So you can see the final option, which is if HFFA decides to exercise their fourth option or their fourth year of extension, that one generates far more savings than the option that I discussed previously. So overall, this does work out to a financial savings to the city of Hemet, and it does make an impact to our budget moving forward. I'd like to thank HFFA for bringing this proposal to the council. I think given the significant budget ramifications that we are dealing with, this will help alleviate some of the issues that we have, and staff will need to go ahead and plug in what this means in terms of moving forward and how that impacts the budget subsequent to this action. So I really want to thank HFFA for their leadership in bringing this forward.
So the savings to the city is great, and I'm sure that we're all thankful for that. And I'm sure that the firefighters look at it like they're saving jobs in our city. And I look at it from my district especially, is that this sacrifice is actually increasing the protection for our citizens. So I'm grateful for that too.
Linda?
I would add thank you to HFFA for bringing this forward, but I really want to emphasize the fact that by them not taking their raise this year, that we will be able to save the positions in the fire department that would otherwise be cut, because this is not the time to be cutting anybody from public safety, whether it be police or fire. You know, and I understand, and we'll get into that with the not funding of vacant positions, because if you fund, I mean, it's not dealing with reality that we live in. But when we have actual people, I don't want to see people lose their jobs, especially in public safety at this time. We need them too much. So, thank you. I asked absolutely agree with Lynn as well, because our goal is to not have to be able to eliminate any jobs if we can do that at all. And I certainly appreciate HFFA stepping forward and making this proposal. It's certainly a savings to the city, and we appreciate their consideration in that. But again, just as Mayor Pro Tem Krupa indicated, if we can save jobs in any way, we certainly will. And I think people have the misconception of what defund means and what, I mean, they're thinking because we're eliminating vacant positions that we're defunding the fire or the public safety departments. And that's not true. I mean, we're simply taking it.
Our report says 5 filled positions. But hopefully we can change that.
I'm saying the concept of defunding versus, we're not really defunding as they see it. They see it as we're, like what's in the media, defunding, let's not fund the public safety anymore. And all we're trying to do is be fiscally responsible that we've been charged to do. And if we can save as many jobs as we can, we will. So.
Michael?
I just want to thank the HFFA leadership for coming to the plate and being a team player, knowing that the city's taken a financial hit because of the shutdown for COVID. I think maybe some of the other groups could follow suit.
I'd also like to express appreciation for this and any other creative means that staff can and the bargaining units can come up with, because these are unprecedented times, and never before that I can, certainly not in my lifetime, have I ever seen government have to wrestle with such a variety of issues, all of which impact our ability to provide service to our community. So I appreciate FFA's reaching out with this proposal. I appreciate City Manager giving it a good faith review and bringing it to council for us to consider. So with that, if there's no more questions or comments, somebody want to make a motion?
I'll move approval.
I have a motion to approve item 19B.
I'll second.
Okay. A motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Meyer? Councilmember Friswell?
Yes.
Councilmember Wright?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Krupa?
Yes.
Mayor Brown?
Yes. That motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Now we'll move on to item 20, City Council and Staff Reports, and just a reminder that at the conclusion of that, we will adjourn the regular session and go back to our study session on the budget. So, Councilmember Meyer, anything to report?
I don't have anything to report. Maybe next month. I've got some meetings that are starting to roll, so I'll have our first one here in June. But thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Purcell.
Two things. So RTA that we were supposed to have on Monday was canceled because of the protest in downtown Riverside. That has been rescheduled for Thursday via Zoom meeting. And then I met with the League of Cities Revenue and Taxation Committee. That was a Zoom meeting that lasted 4 hours. Out of that meeting, the committee took positions on 2 ballot propositions that are both qualified for the upcoming November ballot. And one of them was the initiative that goes for the split roll tax that would create an increase in or reassessment in commercial properties. That vote came out 15 in favor and 25 opposed to the league taking in a support position on that ballot proposition. So when the vote started early on, it started out that it looked like it was going to go to support that, and I'm glad that as we started getting on in some of the inland cities, the no votes overtook. So the other proposition that has qualified was the Family Home Protection and Fairness and Property Tax Reassessments Act. I actually had to abstain from that vote because that is a California Association of Realtors sponsored legislation. So, but that passed to support that. What that basically does is it creates Prop 60 and Prop 90 statewide, as opposed to just in 10 or 11 cities or counties that it currently exists in. Riverside County is one of them. But it also adds, you can move, if you're a senior, you can move not just once and take your property tax base with you. You can move down 3 times. It's not a perfect bill. There's some other stuff in it. I mean, there's always give and take in some of this stuff. But so that's what the position that the Revenue and Taxation Committee took on both of those ballot propositions. So a not support position for the California Schools and Local Communities Funding Act of 2020. That's the split roll for commercial properties, and then a support position for the Family Home Protection and Fairness in Property Tax Reassessments Act. And that's it.
A lot of healthy discussion.
That's all I have.
Councilmember Wright.
Well, I don't have a whole lot to report because most of the meetings were canceled, but I did want to say that I concluded my year as chairman of WRCOG and was pleased to pass the gavel on to Kevin Bash from Norco, and also the members voted for not only Kevin, but Karen Spiegel as first vice chair, and Crystal Ruiz from San Jacinto as second vice chair. So we still have representation of the Valley on the executive team. So we were really happy to see that. And although I didn't get to have a General Assembly, which would have been like tonight. I think it was on the 19th. I think it was on the, no, it was next week. It's on the 19th. Yeah. Anyway, it is what it is.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem.
Okey-doke. Very quickly, Southern California Association of Governments had their annual General Assembly by Zoom last Thursday. And new officers were elected. Rex Richardson from Long Beach, I believe he is from Long Beach, is the incoming chair. Clint Lorimore from Eastvale is vice chair, and Jan Harnig from Palm Desert is the next one for SCAG. And the thing of real importance that got passed was a voluntary, and it's voluntary. If cities want to pay full price, they can, but SCAG enacted a one-time 20% reduction in fees for all cities who want to take advantage of it. So when the invoice comes out, there'll be the full price and a 20% reduction, and I can only suppose that we will pay the 20% and say thank you. The other is RCTC is tomorrow, and actually we're doing a hybrid meeting. Some of us are going to be going to Supervisor Chambers in Riverside, and half will be by telephone just because of the number. There's like 32 people that sit on that commission, and they still have to space us out, so it should be interesting to do that. But one of the things on the agenda is a letter to the state of California to delay the implementation of Caltrans moving from level of service to vehicle miles traveled that will trip CEQA mitigation in any type of road expansion going forward. It was supposed to go into effect July 1.